Hey, this is Steve Zeltzer with WorkWeek, and we're having an interview this morning with trade unionist brothers in Namibia at a Workers' Advice Center. And these brothers have been fired from the Chinese National Nuclear Corporation for trying to defend their members, fighting for health and safety protection and against the attack on their working conditions and their health care benefits. And they've been involved in a struggle to get their jobs back, fighting the company, and also joining with other workers around Namibia who are also fighting the same kind of attack on their worker rights, their union rights, and forcing them to become contract workers. And as we've discussed before, there's been a long struggle in Namibia against contract work, against apartheid when the apartheid regime was in control, and now it's being brought back into Namibia. So maybe the brothers can introduce themselves and talk about the Workers' Advice Center and what their plans are in defending themselves and also other workers in Namibia.
Thank you, Comrade Steve. My name is George Martin. I'm the secretary of the unlawfully dismissed Rossing branch executive. As Comrade Steve said, we've been fighting this struggle for a year and about 5 months now. 6 months, yeah. So it is quite a struggle, and we have set up the Workers' Advice Center, and we want to help workers that are less privileged that cannot afford to pay their legal fees. So we are there to help them fight their battles.
My name is Afeni Narusha, and I'm one of the unfairly dismissed branch executive committee members. I held the portfolio of the Vice Secretary of Information, I would say. And yeah, our struggle is real. We've been struggling for almost a year and 6 months, like my fellow comrade just alluded to. And things are getting tough, but we are trying to keep our heads up and just focus on giving back to the community in terms of the Workers' Advice Center. That we want to volunteer ourselves to actually try and get our message also across as to what we are going through and how we can assist other fellow workers in the same struggle. Thank you.
My name is Julius Ashimpala. I served in the portfolio of Secretary for Information and Publicity. I worked for Rossing for almost 10 years before I was unlawfully dismissed. So I'm part of the group that has set up the Workers' Advice Center. It's a positive step in the right direction, especially in our fight, where we know that we can still use our experience and our struggles to assist the less privileged, as Comrade George mentioned. And we are just happy to have platforms such as this, where we can continue to educate and create more awareness regarding our struggles. Thank you.
I'm Comrade Enes Haraso. I'm still technically the Vice Chairman of the Rossing branch executives. As my comrades have alluded and said already, from my work experience, I've been at the mine for the past 16 years before I was dismissed unlawfully. My comrades actually took all the words from me, so I don't know. I don't want to repeat. It's not nice to repeat everything, but what I can add to is to say that the struggle has put us in a situation whereby we did not expect it, and currently now we are struggling with financially, emotionally, and it is having a toll on us. But we are trying to make the best of it. Although with the assistance from the international community, we then say that it will be helpful to help others that will be in the or are gonna be in the same footing as us, and we don't want to see any working class people to go through what we are going through and not know what to expect. And that's why part of the Workers' Advice Center is actually whereby we want to assist other employees for them to be more aware so that they cannot be in the same boat as us, but in a better one.
Well, one of the issues is the fact that the government, the labor boards have been ignoring the labor laws and the labor rights and taking advantage of workers, firing them illegally, including the newly elected chair was also fired and retaliated against. It seems like the Chinese National Nuclear Corporation and these companies now in Namibia feel that they have a union-free environment where they're free to do anything they want. Is that the arrogance that they have?
Yeah, that's the feeling. It's like if you put in money into the economy, you can get away with murder. Basically, they actually killed our whole entire how can I say, we are still young. What's what? Careers. They actually assassinated our careers, if you can put it straightforward. And some of us, we are still young. We have 20 years left to work, 40 years left to work, but our careers currently it has been tarnished. So to recover from that, it will take a lot. And these people know for a fact that they don't take grudges easily. So they want to make sure of us that we will end up in the dishes.
And they've accused WorkWeek, I understand, at your arbitration of being anti-Chinese, that we're against the Chinese people. What do you make of that kind of accusation?
The thing is, they like to make accusations just to suit their story. But we all know that we are not anti-Chinese. We don't have an issue with the Chinese. But because we are trying to do the right thing, they have an issue with us. That's why they are now saying that we are anti-Chinese, and even you are anti-Chinese. I don't see you promoting anti-Chinese and saying we have to be, So it does not make sense for us. For us, we understand what their aim and objective is. It's just to destroy us before the truth come out.
Well, you sent a letter. You sent a letter to Comrade Xi Jinping, Xi Jinping, asking him to intervene. Have you heard back from Comrade Xi Jinping in your letter?
No, the comrade did not reply yet. We are still waiting on his email. Maybe there is a network problem. Yeah.
So he hasn't replied back. So if they really think you're anti-Chinese, he hasn't replied back to your letter about your discharge.
We are always looking at our emails to make sure that our network is good, so that if the email comes in, we can see it. But from our comrade, we are still waiting on him. But he's our comrade here.
I am Paulo Shikongo. I'm the former vice treasurer, part of the BC, one of the fired branches. Here still on the street. It's a year and 4 months. And it's going to be 6 months now. We're just here in Namibia, hopeless. And with the arbitration, it starts already now, a year and a half. And they begin what we have observed, the agenda of the company, even the MD himself expressed that it starts just with a relationship, but it's broken and we are unemployable, and his feeling is that it does not recommend us to any other employer in Namibia, which is a very, very serious and tarnishing of our image, meaning even considering the number of years we spent in school and graduating, starting the job just for your career to be ended in this fashion. It's really inhuman. And
so they're retaliating against you to prevent you to get any work in the country.
Yes.
So
and, with that being said, we really observe that these investors, they come on the mission whereby they kill us, even career-wise, and they don't have a sense of social justice into them, meaning, we are heading a tough journey ahead. And mind you, most of part of the management also, they serve on certain boards within the country, like employers and federations. It's where the group of companies, they got structures where different people appointed from different companies, they come together and they come also discuss issues relating the working industry or mining industry. And some are also member of the chamber of commerce and industry, meaning they will make use of any opportunity they find to discuss us. Like seriously, I was shocked by the revelation of the MD during the arbitration when he was giving testimony that they are unemployable, which does not, according to others, don't hold water, and it's just a propaganda to do away with the unionism, and they make sure that any unionist does not have any chance of featuring, getting employment somewhere if they come an opportunity.
Thanks for that. Steve, what I'm going to do, everyone will tell his side of the story. The personal side of the arbitration is that the company is given us a chance to lie on issues that never happened. They can't even prove that any of us were guilty of the charges that the witch hunt charges that they set out in the charge sheet. There's nothing in that charge sheet or in their evidence that found us guilty. The only thing that they are using in the arbitration is to say that the BEC committed what, while they individually charged us. So they are only saying that the branch executive did this and this, but they cannot say who did it and when was it done. The other disappointing fact is that one of our comrades that was in the struggle with us, that filed a case against Rossing, turned against us. He is now on the other side of the company, sitting where the company is sitting, and is testifying against us, which really is it's really something that is hurting a person, because you must remember, Steve, when you are comrades, you never expect a comrade to turn on another comrade. But when you look at the other side also, is situation that maybe turned him to go, or that gave him that route to go against us. But it's not an excuse, but it's just to say that it's really tough to be outside without a job. So he was maybe forced by his situation to turn. I cannot speak for him, but I can only say that I'm really disappointed. And again, the company is buying time, because their witnesses are unavailable, and we were told to suggest dates. Up to now, they did not reply to when they are able to attend the second stage of the arbitration hearing. So in short, that's my side of the arbitration.
Maybe just I'll just do some add-ons on what Comrade George said. If you look at this, the whole arbitration thing is to say that the company is trying to dictate, or is trying to look for powers to dictate on when you can associate yourself with, when you can have freedom of association. So it's something that they want to paste and remove at any given time. So they want to have that dictatorship in terms of telling you when you can associate yourself with the union. So if we allow that to happen, or if the country or the legislature for this country allows that to happen, it means that there won't be any unions that would ever stand up to management or to the companies, or to fight for their rights, because you can just be dismissed and they will take the case to the labor, and labor would do whatever they will have to do. Other cases will be stretched out. The other thing is to say that in terms of finances, these things are drawing, they are drawing these cases out so you can be drained financially, and when they come and they approach you with any offer, you will just take it. And that somehow also what may be led for the comrade to actually turn against us. It could be financial constraints, it could be that we might have been wrongly influenced by whoever was out there. But this thing it's something that we seriously are trying to fight and try to uphold our rights in terms of freedom of association, and we strongly feel that we will do it as a group and will not be divided ever.
My take on the proceedings last week is there's a narrative that they created during the hearing, and it's basically to say the relationship between the branch executive and the management is completely destroyed. And I think that is the agenda that they are driving to, while running away from the fact on the merits of the unfair dismissal itself. And I think that's where they want to get away with it. So in terms of the relationship, and I will agree with what Comrade Afeni has said, it's a matter of the company trying to dictate and limit the powers of union officials on site at employers, and basically carrying the whip and destroying the unions in the process. They are busy dismantling the unions with the actions they took against us. So for us, I think we will stick to our guns in terms of the unfair dismissal. We stand by what we did. The merits are there. It's just a matter of the platforms. The platforms, once it's there again, we will open up on all these allegations that they've alleged. And the issue on the relationship, to me, it's completely absurd, because as we are currently speaking, the Eastern BEC Rossing, they unlawfully dismissed the chairman after our dismissals. So there is an intent, a malice intent to get rid of strong holds of unionism in the country, and that we cannot allow.
If I have to touch a bit still on the relationship and the tactic the company have used, especially on choosing a fellow comrade who was part of the BEC and to use him to turn against us and testify against us through by settling with the company. It's another form, I see it's another form of divide and rule. And I suspect, and it could not far from that, some other underground process have taken place with that settlement, because the comrade have said his settlement was confidential, and we suspect there might be some sort of bribe, if I may make those allegations, because no one in the right mind who was a comrade have become later a tool of the company to disadvantage the process, to derail the fight which we are having. Seriously, it's uncomradely, and it's a tactic of divide and rule, and it's a way of the capitalists how they operate. They would choose the weakest link, and they would easily bribe and use that person against the fellows. And we are still confident, even though they've chosen that road, we are confident that the light at the end of the tunnel, even being used, is still being fruitful, less. Because considering if we have to go through the whole process and from beginning to the end, and mind you, with the MDs when they were testifying also, it appears that their issue, the management issue with the union, did not start from the date when they lay charges against us. During the course of the arbitration, he backdated incident, he made reference to the previous, like a year back, 2017. And according to their charges which they lay and dismiss us, it's a matter which arises from 2020. With looking into that, you'll see that now this one is a personalized agenda. It's a branches, and it's something which they just a route which they use to be ruthless, regardless whether they follow the correct procedure or not. They have to get rid of us in our individual capacity, because maybe they fear us, our personalities, we were soldiers, and so forth. Yeah, they do not fear any of going out of ordinary. And it was also came clear that the company had an opportunity to approach the office of the labor commissioner if they could have found that we are on collision head with them instead of touching our individual employment contract and link it to the dismissal.
Last but not least, my take on the whole proceedings of last week is like, currently the company is out. They have the financial backing from the Chinese, not the company, but from the Chinese, the country itself. So they have the money to run us down. They will do whatever is in their power to destroy us. And I hope this video or this interview will go out so that I know for a fact they are always looking at your videos. So I hope this one goes out that they can at least make a recommendation or a reference to this to say that if a big company or a country like China is scared of small boys trying to make the right thing, as for us to have the right things, our forefathers have fought for this country, and the rules and regulations that are here, they did not come on a silver platter, and these people want to take it away just because of investment. We understand the investors are needed. We want the investors in this country, but we need to be on an equal footing when it comes to labor issues, when it comes to human rights. What I've also picked up is that these people they have decided come high water, whatever, they just want to dismiss us. They don't want to actually deal with us. It is like David and Goliath, but they forget the history that actually Goliath did not win David. So I want this video to go out for them to know that we are out here. We will fight the fight until the last of it. But with your assistance and with the comrades that are watching these videos, we will make the best of it. Steve, your mic.
Yeah, one of the conditions is one of the issues is the conditions of Chinese workers. And what have you discovered about the Chinese workers that are being brought into work in the mines and other work locations in Namibia? Because what are their conditions? Are they in difficult conditions as well?
Currently, from my side, the information I'm not aware of any, because we are not visiting mines now currently. So I cannot say anything on that currently. So yeah, it's the same feeling. We cannot, because if you have to visit the sites in order to know firsthand what is transpiring there. Yeah.
And you say that if they're successful, they're trying to crush you. They haven't been able to. You've gotten stronger, and you are fighting back. And now you're reaching out to other workers in Namibia to unite and organize a united fight back. And what is the response of other workers in Namibia to your struggle?
Currently, it is positive. It is on this, how can I say, young ages. It's gonna grow with time. Yeah. Yeah, especially with Rossing employees, it is gonna grow, but we just started with the office, we founded it now, so we're mobilizing and we're gonna be moving on slowly but surely.
And the conditions of the workers in the mine, the termination of your branch executive, and also the termination of the newly elected leader who was also illegally terminated. What has been the effect in the mine for the workers as far as having a union, having worker rights? It seems that they would feel that under the Chinese National Nuclear Corporation, they don't have any worker rights if they terminate the union leadership, elected union leadership.
Now, as we have learned, is that even the BEC has been reduced to only 4 people or 3 people. We used to have 14 portfolios, but currently they are only operating with 3 or 4. What actually transpired now is the same as if someone comes into the yard and shoot the biggest dog, the small dogs will not do anything anymore. Currently, people are just trying to survive because they are afraid. What if they stand up and speak? They might just end up like us, being fired for something you did not even do. So yeah, that's my take. Any views?
To add on that, Comrade Steve, the mine has embarked on with a mission of changing conditions left, right, and center. About a few weeks back, let's say 2 weeks back, the branch executive had a meeting with us, the acting executives. They received a letter from the mine management, the current mine management, with the letter stating the intentions of renegotiating conditions of employment and agreements that stood there for years. We can only assume that they want to try the same tactics as they did with us by renegotiating these conditions for worse off conditions. One of 5 of those conditions the agreement that were there was the disciplinary code, the procedural agreement, which is the recognition agreement, the performance and conduct, the recruitment policy, and the retrenchment policy. And they have already started changing the set time and attendance, which affects the pay grade of these employees. We can also see that moving into things, their intention is also to change the medical aid, because that is one of the main things that they also wanted to change. So you can see that their aims of getting rid of us to change conditions is now turning into that direction where they wanted to go. And the resistance from the workers is a bit, it's not there, because workers are fear for their jobs. They are being victimized when they stand up for their rights. So you can see that they are busy doing things that are illegal and that are not supported by the law. They are doing unlawful things.
What do you have to say about the government, the government officials who apparently have accepted the right of these Chinese employers and other employers to basically violate the labor laws that you fought for in Namibia? It seems like there's flagrant violations of not only your rights, but many other workers throughout Namibia.
Steve, it's very difficult. It's hard. It's heartbreaking seeing that these things are happening in a free and independent country like Namibia, where laws are broken and citizens of the country are expected just to accept these things just like that, while the law says it protects its citizens, and we are treated like second-class citizens. Steve, it's very disappointing, but we are hopeful, and we know that come hay waters, the law will be followed and justice will come. That's what we believe in, Steve.
And the Workers' Advice Center for the working class, what is the goal of the Workers' Advice Center for the working class?
Mainly the goal of the Workers' Advice Center is to treat or to have cases, to win cases for our workers, to stand by workers that are being intimidated, discriminated, and that are facing unfair and unlawful conducts from these corporate giants or these capitalists that think that they are above the law. And mark my words, Comrade Steve, we are going to fight them, and we are not going to leave a stone unturned.
And also to add on that, the aim is also to educate the workers on their rights so that they know their rights. Because currently now, most of the things are being given a blind eye. And people think it's a normal norm not to know your rights. So the part of the Workers' Advice Center, we want to educate the working class movement and the workers also, for them to know where to go if you are in a crisis, because most people do not know. And even with our forms, if you just make a mistake, just one mistake on a form by technicalities, your whole case you can lose your whole case. So the aim is actually to assist the workers to have a better what's the word? Better fighting ground. So it's the same footing of advantage with these capitalist companies.
You learn through past experience. We have been fighting this case of us for a year and a half. And one of the things that demoralize workers is finances. when you are put in a situation where you are starved and you start thinking, what are my kids going to eat? What about my house? All those things, they put you in a situation where you start giving up. And we want to motivate workers not to give up when you are faced with those things. And we want to show them that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. But you can only do that when you have centers like this that can motivate and teach, like my comrade said. You cannot do that on your own. You need support and you need to build solidarity. And that's how you win against these corporate giants.
Maybe Steve, if I can, sorry, just to add on what Comrade John is saying, the word itself, workers' advice center, it's self-explanatory to say we want us to create almost like a safe haven for workers to feel free to come and ask for advice. Because the only thing that is lacking is education and consulting and understanding. If you get that thing right, I mean, people will be able to take on issues at the shop floor level at their working place, and that's what we actually are aiming for.
As we have, with our struggle that we are going through, we have learned that positively we can also encourage the workers' movement. And we see that the corporate giants, they do listen to media streams and propaganda. So for us to have this platform is a plus for us. And we never thought that we can reach a lot of people. Before we got fired, when we were working still for Rossing, we never knew Steve. But now we know Steve, and with Steve, we know a lot of people. Even they are saying whatever they are saying, but they are afraid of us. So,
and there's another struggle going on right across the border into South Africa, the clover workers. What's going on? Because it seems like there's a union busting attack as well by this Israeli company against the clover workers in South Africa, the dairy workers.
You see, Comrade Steve, these capitalists are very evil. They want to maximize on their profits. Now, how do they do that? They want to get rid of permanent workers and bring in contract labor system where they can maximize on all the profits. You take away pension, you take away increases, you take away all the benefits. You just give the employee or the worker the salary, and that's all. Now with that, a worker won't be able to afford a house. He won't be able to afford decent car or decent education for their kids. So what does it put us? It puts us back to apartheid and it puts us back to slavery. Now that's what the capitalists are doing. Now we want to tell our brothers in South Africa not to give up. They should fight, and we are supporting their cause. We are in solidarity with them, and they should keep on fighting.
And Comrade Steve, with what the capitalists are doing, we as a working movement, we also have to learn from one another. What they are doing is, even what is happening with us is just a trial run for them to see how they can destroy the union. And if they can get away with destroying the biggest union ever in Namibia, that is actually Rossing, because Rossing is one of the, how can I say, the footsteps for unionism in Namibia. So if you can destroy the union from within, and if they can do it and they can get away with that, it will be easier for them to target other branches and break them down in a similar manner. But we cannot allow that.
I think Steve, on the clover issue, I personally took it upon myself to actually also inform my wife at home to say, if you go into the shop, you do not buy any clover products, because yes, I'm standing in solidarity, and we as a community are standing in solidarity with the guys fighting in South Africa. So we are not going to purchase any clover products. They are not coming home. So I mean, and I even told them to spread the message to the other fellow colleagues and friends that she has, to say no clover products for now until we get this story sorted. That's what I did.
Well, the unity between the working class in Namibia and South Africa, it seems like it's a natural necessity of a unity. And this internationalism of workers, we're all fighting the same multinationals globally.
Yes.
and the union busting tactics all over the world. They're the same. They're the
Yeah.
same. So actually their attack is bringing workers together. The attack on you has brought you together with workers all over the world.
Yes.
It is having a positive effect.
And again, with Zoom and all these conference calls, you can speak to a worker in America, it feels like you are together. So it has all bringing us together.
And the miners in the United States, the Warrior Met miners have been on strike for over 10 months. They face a union busting company, BlackRock, which has $8 trillion that they control. $8 trillion. So it seems like the miners' struggle in the United States is connected with your struggle as well. I mean, where they're trying to bust your union.
It's good that you mentioned that, Comrade Steve, and it's things like this that tell us that being a worker is a unified language. It's an international language. It's something that no other person will understand except for the worker. And we have one thing that the capitalists don't have. We have that unity. And if we don't show that unity, the capitalists get stronger, but we can only get stronger when we are unified.
And how can people support your center there, Workers Advice Center?
We have email addresses, and we are busy setting up a web page so that people can, so that we can make it easy for people to access. But currently in Namibia, we are situated in the location closer to the people that are less fortunate, so that we can bring the services to them.
Well, I want to thank you very much for joining us. We've been talking to the leaders of the Rossing Miners Union of Namibia, who are joining us. They were fired for standing up for their members' rights on the job, for human rights, worker rights, and they're going forward. They just had an arbitration where they learned a lot about the company, the corruption of the company. And now they're set up a workers' advice center, and they're going to be working and linking up with all the workers in Namibia to join in a struggle for workers and human rights against contract labor and for justice. So thanks for joining us on WorkWeek. Solidarity, brothers and
Solidarity.